Hey everybody, this is a video series called I'm Black But Slash And. And the reason I'm doing this, I actually wanted to do this originally just to talk about things that I do that might contradict with what people think black people do. And due to the recent incidents, I have been feeling very moved to talk about a couple of things. So I'm going to talk about the recent incidents with the riots in Minneapolis. I'm black, but I do not approve and I do not agree with violent protest. If you look at all of our leaders who have caused massive change, specifically Martin Luther King or Gandhi, like they were peaceful, as far as I know, they were very peaceful in the way that they carried about things. They walked through the fire, and by them walking through the fire, eventually people had to secede and basically kind of like break apart and fall back and say, you know what? They're really trying to get better. They're really not doing honestly anything wrong. It's us. We're the ones acting with pride and thinking that we're better than everyone. When I think about like the riots, I feel like when we riot, we reinforce the stereotype that we are violent. Now I understand though, I will say I understand the riots because I have this anger in me. I have this anger because when I walk through a grocery store, I look at the ground so I don't offend white people around me. It's a real thing. I literally walk through the grocery store and I'm just kind of like looking at the ground because I don't want to look at someone and give them the wrong opinion or idea. And you're probably thinking, Ezra, that's a little paranoid. Why would you think that? Just imagine if you're white or whatever color you are, if you're just going somewhere where you're different and everyone's staring at you, right? I see white men staring at me daily, okay? And it's like they follow me with their eyes. It's not just, like, oh, you glance at someone, they're like, some of them stop and stare at me. So I'm like, okay. When I'm in the gym, I'm like, okay, I'm working out very hard. I might be making some noises. I understand a lot of people look at me, they're like, oh, does this guy play football? I don't. I'm trash at catching it. I'm not gonna lie. Don't throw me the rock, pass it. But moving on. I get stared at a lot, and it causes me to think like, okay, like I'm always thinking like, did I do something wrong? Is there something on my face? Am I not dressing properly? Am I not dressing appropriately? And that's not fair, but I deal with it and I accommodate. So having to deal with that every day can cause some type of anxiety. Like the anxiety that comes with being a person of color, and I've lived from St. Louis, Missouri. I've lived in Kentucky, went to college there, had a great time. But me and my friends who were not white experienced some racism. One time I was with a friend, called them J.I., they know what their initials are, and they had a friend who asked me to speak ghetto for them. Now I was young, I was very impressionable, I was very naive, and I just wanted to fit in, and I've always been someone who's tried to be a nice person. Especially like after I became like a Christian, I was like, I'm going to be a nice person. So I'm like, yeah, so I said, yo, what's up, dog? And they all laughed and stuff like that. But my culture shouldn't be a joke. It shouldn't have to be a joke for them. It's like, I don't meet white people and ask them to speak white, so on and so forth. And the reason I'm talking about these incidents, because when you have repeated offenses of people treating you a certain way because of the way you look, because of something that you cannot control, you kind of build this distrust with certain people. And you're unsure of if you can believe them or if you even want to hang out with them because you have a feeling that, like, I'm just a joke to you, so why would I hang out with you? Because I've had a lot of people actually treat me a certain way because of the way I look. Even though you're not them, you still give people the benefit of the doubt, which I always do, but then eventually at some point I wouldn't say like turn on you, kind of. So I've had that happen to me when I was in high school. I went to a leadership camp. I was literally one of two black people at that leadership camp, right? And I became very popular at this leadership camp. And I ended up going to one of my friends' houses after leadership camp who lived in South County. Now, if you're from St. Louis, you know there's North County, South County, West County, East St. Louis, which is technically Illinois, and there's the east side and there's the south side, right? So me and my friend Marquise, my homie, my dog, my bro, we're about to pull up over there. You know, he has a very nice car that he got from his dad, not stolen anything, bought it, cash money, we out here. Has the car. My mom says before we go, she says, Ezra, be careful when you go over there. They don't like you. Once again, me, young, naive, I just came back from leadership camp. I'm at a camp. The only person in my school chosen to go to this camp. Okay? And my school at the time was probably like 50, maybe like 60% black, 40% white. So clearly I'm doing something right in my life, right? Okay. So my mom's like, when you go over there, they don't like you. I said, what do you mean? She said, you know what I mean. So I'm like, I came back from leadership camp. Me and my friends, we always try to be positive in the community. It's like when we're young, we got into a couple fights, but like boys get into fights. We got testosterone. It's washed over our brain while we're in the womb, whatever. And literally, when we go there, we have a great time. We're cool. My friend Marquise meets my friends, people from leadership camp. He's like, these people are really cool. I'm like, I know, right? Like, dude, it was a great time. I really grew as a person. When I came back, everybody was like, dude, like, you've really changed, da da da. There were a couple people who were hating because when you're trying to grow as a person, some people, if they're not growing, they kind of want to pull you down. Moving on from that, we're driving back. We get pulled over. Whoop, whoop. Cop pulls us over, and we're chilling, and he's kind of nervous, but we're nervous because we're black. We're not nervous because there was anything wrong. So the cop comes up. He's like, hey, do you know why I pulled you over? The usual, his hands on the steering wheel. He's like, no, officer, why? He's like, are these tints legal? He asks us the question. Then Marquis says, yes, the tints are legal. Then he says, okay, cool. What about the plates on the car? He's like, they're dealer plates. Like my dad got the car for me. He's like, okay, cool. So the cop pulled us over, but didn't really have anything. He just had a whole bunch of speculations. Then he's like, you guys have drugs in the car? We're like, no. He's like, are you sure? We're like, yes. He's like, do you do drugs? We're like, no. He's like, can we see your ID? We're like, yeah, sure. And then, so text our ID. I give him my ID. And I was smiling on my ID because I like to smile. Like, whenever I take a picture, I don't want to mean mug. I want to smile. So I'm smiling on my driver's license. He says, is this you? And I'm like, yeah, it is. See? And I do my smile. And he's like, who? You just trying to be a smart aleck or a smart ass? And I was like, no, you just asked if it was me. And I understand that if I'm smiling, since I'm not smiling now, you might think it's a different person. So I just smile. That's all. He says, yeah. So they walk away with our IDs. And my homie's mad. I'm mad. And we're just like, my mom told me this would happen. And this thing, they come back, they let us go. Nothing happened. Literally nothing. They couldn't do anything because there was nothing wrong. But this is what was wrong, and this is why people are rioting now. The fact that you're doing nothing wrong, but if you look out of place to them in their mind of what a black person should be, if you're a black person who looks successful, or you're in a nice car, or you have certain things, they're like, I don't like that, or I don't know if it's that, or I'm feeling insecure about me. Why do you have that and I don't have that? You guys are young, you must be drug dealers, and they pull us over. It's like, we have to just live with that. We just have to live with the fact that if I get nice things, I'll probably get pulled over. If I have nice shoes and I dress fashionable, I'm going to look like a gangster or a thug or something of that sort. And that is why, for people who are wondering, they're rioting, they're crazy, they're not fixing the problem, they're just mad because they're like, I'm tired of doing the right thing and then still getting mistreated. Let's talk about Jay-Z for a second, guys. Jay-Z is a billionaire. Jay-Z said on his 444 album that even with all that money, he's still a black man in America. So he's still experiencing some type of covert oppression or racism, okay? Even with all that money, okay? That's why Beyonce did the performance that she had at the Super Bowl several years back, because she's trying to empower the people. But now that we've talked about, so basically what I'm saying is this condensed. People are rioting and they're angry because they're like, it doesn't matter what I do. I have been kind, I have been caring, considerate, I got my education, I'm doing good in the community, I'm preaching, I'm taking kids out of the street and trying to put them somewhere better. I'm going to leadership camp, but people are like, no, 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 no. You're black. That's wrong. Let's get rid of you. So, there's that. Then there's the other side where it's like, you already know basically when you have two different crimes of two different people, two of the same crime with two different people, and one person gets a higher sentence than the other. And it is historical, and this is on the news right now, Biden was talking about it, that if you were black, you always got more years, and that technically should be illegal. Like, you both sold weed, but the black person gets 10 years and you get probation. It's like, it doesn't make sense. So it's like, first off, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, what I believe is that everyone has this selfish, sinful nature. Okay? Everyone. Every single person. Okay? I'm not saying blacks are better. I'm not saying whites, Hispanics, or Asians are better. But we all have this selfish, sinful nature. So we're all going to do things wrong. We're all going to make mistakes. But the thing is that when a black person makes a mistake, there is little to no grace, and there is also not really due process. And that's really, if there was even just due process, like, hey, if you just put him in the car, take him to the police station like you do with other white people, then it would be fine. You know, so that's another reason people are rioting, because they're like, you know what, like, it seems not to matter what I do because you're still not listening, you know, that's why. And and this is just my perspective, I think because black people as a whole have been basically categorized as these animals who aren't doing anything right, they are now categorizing white people, and they're just kind of want to stay away because they're like, you know, like, I tried to be your friend, but like at the end of the day, you didn't have my back. At the end of the day, it's like, you saw I didn't do anything wrong, but you let someone mistreat me. So that's another reason why people are rioting in their anger. It's repeated offenses. And if you know about counseling and relationships, if you're married and your spouse has 100 times just done you over and done you wrong and talked back to you, and you've held everything in and you haven't communicated to them that, hey, don't yell at me about the trash, eventually what's probably going to happen is what? You're going to blow up at them like, don't you cuss at me about the trash, da 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 da. Like, you might bop. You might bop them. You might bop them, okay? Now, here's another reason why riots are happening. Black people, black women, black men are always seen as more aggressive, or as if they are exaggerating their mood and things like that. We're a very expressive culture. A lot of us are expressive. Some of us aren't. You know, we're not all the same. But in general, I probably would say like, yeah, we're very expressive. It's like, I have friends who tell me like, Ezra, bro, you're extra. My nickname in high school was Extra Ezra, given to me from a friend, and I didn't really like it. But moving on. You know, we're just very expressive. But when you're consistently not expressing yourself to appease someone, to make sure they're happy, but then they still get mad, then you're just like, so what was the point of me holding in my opinion the whole time, because you're not even listening to me and what I have to say? Like, it saddens me. And then after, like, or it might just anger you, then you blow up, you know? So, you know, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, I'm going to end the video now. I want to encourage you to think about how can we all, as a people, come up with the solution to this in your own communities, wherever you live, okay? Because in about 2 weeks, this could pass, people could talk about it, you know, things like that. People are going to move on. Sadly, that's one of the things I realize is this. When someone dies, the only people who are really left thinking about them is usually their immediate family. It's very sad when that soul passes. But this soul passing has impacted so many people. Let's really use this time to come up with some type of solution, or try to continue the conversation so we can grow individually. So I just want to challenge you, what can you do in your community to grow individually? Because this is the thing, I can't change your opinion, and you can't change my opinion, and you can't change Sally or Lucy's or Tevin's or Darius's or Stacy's or Geneva's opinion. You can't change their opinion, but if you change yourself and you become more understanding, I feel like that always helps further. If you become more understanding, it's easy for other people to become understanding, because I'm going to be honest, I'm sure I have friends out there who are white or who are Asian or who are Hispanic who are saying like, black people do this to their own community, they're always selling drugs and stuff like that. And that's a whole nother discussion. That's true. It's like, we do. It's like, I was the kid who, for a brief period of my life, I did grow up in a lower income area, and I wanted to be educated and smart, and I was made fun of and chased at the playground for basically being a geek and a nerd. And it was like, oh, you're weird because you want to be smart and you speak like standard American English. You know, there's nothing wrong with dialects, by the way. America really got that wrong. But moving on, because speaking like the dialect of your community, that's just your dialect. There's nothing wrong. Moving on. So I understand that, and even as a kid, like, I was told that, like, we be killing our own people. And then, like, just me seeing, like, there was a time in my life where someone tried to shoot me, someone tried to shoot a family member of mine, and I'm just like, yo, what are we doing, huh? What are we doing? So I understand that. So the thing is, for black people, how can we stop the things in our community happening so we can support each other? Stop all the gang violence. Just stop it. I mean, if you want to rep your street with pride. But then also, like, hey, if someone wants to rep their street, that's fine. And then find a way to stay unified and stop, like, with the whole war thing, okay? And then, on the other end, like, to my white friends, when you hear other people in your community just talking like, no, man, yo, blacks are animals, and just saying all these jokes which lead into certain types of behaviors long term, what can you say to them? This is a very long discussion, but my main thing is I'm black, but I don't approve of the riots, but I understand why. You know, and to all my black friends out there, I want to challenge you to keep your composure in this time, because losing your composure is not the way that we progress as a people. If you just look at, honestly, any movie about someone who is a minority and then them pushed into society where they're different, the one thing that they all had to have is composure. They had to keep their confidence, and when people came at them, they had to keep their composure, so at the end of the day, no one can say anything against them because they were always doing what they were supposed to do. Now, is it fair? The answer is no. It's not fair that someone who could happen to be white or a different ethnicity of you can act a certain way and get away with things, and then when you express a little bit of anger, a little bit of passion, people are like, whoa, this person's crazy. That's not fair. But I just want to challenge you to keep your composure. That's all I have. This has been like 18 minutes. And I also want to say, I'm probably wrong about a lot. So I'm not going on here saying I'm educated, but I just want to be a voice out there for my friends to know that, yo, like, let's talk about this, and let's start the conversation, and let's all keep our composure and remember, like, what do we need to do individually to help the group? That's all. Peace out. Have a great, beautiful day. And, you know, check up on a friend if you can. Just say, hey, let them know you love them. And if you're put in a situation where you could prevent someone from experiencing wrongdoing, step in the most appropriate way possible. That's all. Bye.